Hello, welcome to the GAC Show. I'm Oli Wiseman and I'm here today to talk to you about the TM-6 Pro from Roland. Well, on the gigs that I'm currently playing at the moment, I'm playing what's called a hybrid drum setup. So it's a mixture of electronic and acoustic sounds on the gig, the focus being mainly on electronic sounds. Up until this point, really, getting into this sort of hybrid playing in this context has been something that is, for a start, really quite expensive to get into, and also a minefield on how to actually, get sounds onto modules and translate it to pads and using it live. But I've been so far, I've had this for a while, this TM-6 Pro, and I've been really, really impressed with it. It's the first module that I've used that, at this price point, that is just so accessible and easy to use. And rather than it, you're spending hours trying to work out how you're going to get your signals from your pads to your modules to the sounds that you want to create, you can stick it all in this module and you can be up and running in a matter of minutes. I remember when I first started getting into this stuff, I remember the first time I tried to load a sound into a sampler and it took me sort of 3 or 4 hours. And this module, with 5 to 10 minutes, it's so user friendly. You can be up and running, pretty quickly. So I'm really, really impressed with that. Like I said, the difference between using a module like this trigger module or using something you might be familiar with, such as a sample pad like an SPDSX, is that you can actually start creating your own hybrid setup with this a bit more, because rather than just having the pads themselves, you've got a lot more trigger inputs in this. You've got 6 stereo trigger inputs, which can also be split to 12 mono. So you can have effectively 12 mono pads set up around your kit. You can, in terms of building your setup around the pads and being a bit more creative with it, this is a lot easier to do that with than your standard stuff, really. One of the most important things when it comes to hybrid drumming, and one of the most important things that I'm told as a drummer is, we want stuff as close to the record and sounds as close to the record. So just taking a sort of stock snare drum sound, for instance, out of your standard sort of, V-drums modules or whatever modules you're using, sometimes it's not what they want. They want exact, they want, the absolute precision. So the fact that you can load all your own sounds onto this is great. You can literally take the sounds from the records, if you have access to them, and put them on this, spread them around the pads, and obviously you can play the sounds from the record, but as a live drummer with a live feel, and blend it with the elements of the acoustic kit to give it that lift live that you wouldn't get from the record, for instance. Another great function that I really like in this, and it's really easy to use, is the fact that you can layer sounds. So you've got your B sound that you can just put in. So for instance, if your kick drum isn't quite fat enough, or you've got a really nice kick drum that you just really, really like, even if you've sampled your own acoustic kick drum and you think, oh, that might work with my electronic sound, you can stick it in and you can alter the levels of things. The usability of this module in terms of, you've got these wheels here, and just changing things on the fly, it's dead easy. And that's the thing that's impressed me the most, is it's the first module I've used that is easy to use, and you can spend more time getting the sounds you want and practicing and getting that right, rather than your head stuck in a book trying to work out, oh God, what's this setting and this setting. It'll also work with a variety of different pads. For instance, if you've got an old, Roland TD8, TD6, you can plug your pad straight in, so you know you've got flexibility there. You don't have to go out and buy everything straight away. You can start off with one pad, two pads. You know, the BT1 triggers are great. You can use those with it, and you can just expand as you go along. So if you're looking at getting into this sort of hybrid playing, and you think maybe your band has a couple of songs where you've got like a sampled kick and a snare, you can start off as simple as that and having just the one pad and building it out from there. You know, and you can move the pads around the kit. It really teaches you another element of playing, really, the challenge of building the pads around the kit to make it comfortable for yourself and for your technique and for what you're trying to achieve with that. So for me, I mean, I always love changing my kit and building things and moving things around. The guys in the band always laugh at me because I'm constantly moving things, even on the show sometimes. So, you know, the good thing is, like I say, when you've got this sort of setup to the level you want it, you're not just stuck with that. You can keep. You might find you play a gig and go, do you know what, that let's say that snare drum sound I'm playing here, that'd be easier for me to play over here because I can blend my toms into it, my cymbals. The possibilities with it, you know, are pretty endless. And like I say, for that sort of price point, you know, it's so easy to use, plug and play and go. I mean, there's great sounds in here already. There's actually 500 user sounds that they've already put in for you. So you might find that you take the sound from your band's EP, your snare drum sound or your hand clap, and you might go, oh, actually there's a really cool element or noise or sub drop or something that we might put in live to give it that you know, lift and change from the record. And you can do that in here. So even if you don't have lots of samples available to you, you can still be pretty creative with the sounds that are in the module themselves. I've programmed a couple of patches, so I could play a little bit and yeah, go from there. Is that useful? Cool. Yeah. All right. The first one that I've done, it's like a sort of drum and bass pattern. I've split some stuff across the pads. I'll do a little bit of improvisation and a little bit of messing about, and a little bit of probably playing really sloppily, so apologies for that. But we'll give it a go and see what happens. Yeah, cool. So what I've done there is I've taken some patches from a record, you know, some breaks, and I've split them across the pads. So you can play them in different combinations. So, you know, rather than on your record, you might just have your basic pattern, which is, you know, let's have a, you know, like this. You know, I've added some extra sounds, some extra snares, so you can start messing around with electronic sounds, but bringing that live element to it. You know, that slight movement, that element that a live drummer brings, which, you know, a lot of times, a lot of things I see a kind of an element of that missing, because if you've got these loops just running on track, you know, they don't have that live energy, but you still want the right sound. So I've added a couple of snares on here, so I'll give you an example of that. Yeah, one feature I forgot to mention that's a really important one to me actually is the direct outputs on the TM-6. You've got 6 direct outputs. Now the benefit of that is when you take this stuff to stage, you might find that the sound engineer wants control over those sounds, so he can adjust the levels of things. So you can actually set, you know, up to 6 different outputs depending on what sounds you're playing. So, you know, you kick out of one, you snare out of another. If you're doing hi-hat sounds, that out of another. You know, if you're playing parts of a track, like a backing track, you can put them out of another one, or even a click out of another one as well. So the fact that you can do that, like I say, for this sort of price point, that's pretty unheard of. So that's really, really impressed me. And that's a really big thing when it comes to live, because they really want control of it at front of house, because, you know, from venue to venue where you're playing, things change, and you can do all the things in the world to balance it out and do all your pre-production at home, but you will still find that things change, and that's why they need that control.
Can you still control it if they have it at the front?
Can you still control what you're hearing?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you can. I mean, you can select what you want to hear through the headphone output and what you don't want to hear in the output routing itself. Obviously, the other option as well is, in terms of what you hear, it depends how it's monitored to you, whether it comes back from a monitor engineer's perspective or whether it comes back from yourself. You could, for instance, plug you could plug the master output, for instance, into a desk, and you'd be able to monitor your drum kit and your electronics and have control of those levels separately. And there's lots of possibilities with that. But yeah, from a sound engineer's perspective, the direct outputs is a really, really important thing. So, like I say, I know I keep talking about it, but the price point, and you know, there isn't a module on the market that has this level of, you know, professional qualities about it for the sort of money, really. So they're some of the main things that have really impressed me with it. Yeah, shall I play a bit more?
Yeah.
I've got another patch here.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I say, I've just put these together, and I put them together pretty quickly, and that's really, really surprised me on how easy it is, because you've got these buttons here, so you can actually demo the sounds and select them. It's really, really easy. Loading user samples in via your SD card, just drag and drop the samples onto there, user sample, and it brings them up. It has a really cool function as well, which means that if you've got a folder for, let's say, a song, and you've got like 12 samples, rather than you having to go through each one and do the same process again, it actually has a load all function, so you can load everything in that folder in one go. Just press go and it puts it all in order for you. So yeah, again, I mean, it's all about saving time and making things easy, and that's what's really great about this. But anyway, I'll stop talking and I'll do a bit more playing. Cool. I mean, like I said, that's just another selection of sounds that I've put together just for the purpose of showing you guys what the module can do, really. The good thing about it is, like I said, is the flexibility of you being able to do what you want with the product, really. And that's the thing, you know, you'll find, everyone will find the sort of sounds that they like and the sounds that suit the gig and what they're doing. And the good thing with this is you're not limited to what's in the module. You're not limited to anything other than what you decide yourself, really.